I'm Stacy. Welcome to the kitchen of my old Kentucky home. Today on Bourbon and Biscuits, we're going to be celebrating a long-standing Louisville tradition. Let's have a classic fish fry. Here's what we'll need for our classic fish fry. Some shortening, 1 egg, a cup of seasoned flour, a half a teaspoon of pepper, salt, and onion powder, and a pound of fresh fish. So I'm going to talk about why fish fries are so particularly popular in Louisville a little later on. But for now, let's just get started with the recipe. So you can use any white fish, white flaky fish. I have a little over a pound of fresh cod, and we're just gonna cut that up into, say 3 to 4 inch pieces. Kind of eyeballed it. I think I'm gonna get 5 out of this by doing it that way. Actually, because this is so thick right here, I'm gonna make this a little smaller, and we're actually gonna get 6 pieces. I think that'll do well. And then we're gonna make our egg wash. We're just gonna take 1, or you can do 2 eggs. There's no exact, it's not like baking, so it's not an exact science here. Just going to whip that up, and I'm gonna just add a little bit of water to it. Not too much. All we're looking for is a little wet to dip this fish in, so our flour coating will stick here in a minute. The next thing we're going to do is get our breading ready, and I've got some seasoned flour here. You can use any kind of flour. I like to use, in our state, we like to use Kentucky Kernel. It's been around since 1810, and it's got some secret herbs and spices in it, just like the chicken kernel, right? And we're just going to add a few more. So we're going to add some onion powder, some salt, some pepper. I've seen people add garlic, thyme, different things. That's what we're gonna add to ours. And all we're gonna do is take this over to the stove. We're gonna dredge our fish pieces into the egg wash, then dredge them in the flour, and then once our shortening gets to 375 degrees, we're going to do some pan frying. So we're gonna take our fish piece, drop it in an egg wash, dredge it through our flour mixture, and we're just going to drop it into the skillet and cook it about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. We're looking for a golden brown color. If this was the golden brown color I was looking for, you can see some of them get cooked to perfection and others are a little lighter, but the scallop also looks done. All right, I'm gonna plate these up while we go to Jessica, who's gonna make a great bourbon cocktail to complement this fried fish.
All right, so today we are actually not gonna do a new riff on a classic cocktail. We're doing the original version that is often forgot about. We're gonna be making a Bourbon Rickey. All we need is bourbon, some fresh squeezed lime juice, club soda, and some sliced limes for a garnish. So I've got my cocktail shaker with ice already, and we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of bourbon. And then I've got already a 1/2 ounce of some fresh squeezed lime juice. And I'm just gonna give this a shake. You could skip this step if you want to, if you just don't want to deal with it, but I think it helps you a little. All right. And then we're just gonna strain this into a tall glass with ice. And top it with club soda. So this drink was originated by a Democratic lobbyist in DC in the 19th century named Joe Rickey. And the gin Rickey is kind of more commonly seen now, but his original preferred version was with bourbon. And that's what we're doing today. I also think it's better. Just gonna stick a couple of limes in here, straw, and there you have it. It's our Bourbon Rickey.
So, Stacey, I assume you've heard of a gin Rickey before.
Like old school drink, retro, right?
So this is even older school.
Okay.
This is actually the original version. 1800s DC, Joe Rickey. He liked a not sweet cocktail, so he would just drink bourbon and soda water, but at the shoemaker's bar, the guy put a little lime juice in it, and it's rest is history. It took off in popularity, kind of evolved over the years. So the gin Rickey is more popular now, but obviously it's better with bourbon.
Right. I love that you have the history.
Yeah.
For once, right? And wow, this is interesting. I've got to admit, I kind of like things on the sweeter side, but this would be a perfect keto drink.
Yeah, and just really light refreshing to go with fried fish. I think the citrus, like you put a lemon squeeze on fish, is perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it pairs very well with this, and I promise to tell a little bit more about why fish fries are such a big deal in our part of the country, right? And it is due in large part to the ton of Catholic immigration that we've talked about many times for the recipe inspirations on other foodways. Late 1800s, the Catholics, the German Catholics, the Irish Catholics, and back in those days, it was a Vatican requirement, basically, that Fridays were without meat. I mean, I've talked about this before too. I'm Italian, and it was Vatican II that changed those rules in the 60s. But I remember I had uncles and aunts that didn't want to eat meat on Christmas Eve. That was a big thing too. So now in the Catholic Church, it's more typical to just have a ban on meat on the Fridays of the 40 days of Lent.
Right.
So, but it's fun how that tradition has carried forward all these years. This is a huge Catholic population here. Of course, you don't have to be Catholic to have fried fish. There are more than 40 spots, parishes, and others, even some Episcopal churches, that have fish fries on Fridays during Lent.
Yeah, I love it. And not only that, I mean, all of our local restaurants this time of year have fish specials on Fridays throughout this whole period.
That's right.
So
And this would be a
it's
very
fun for the whole city.
Absolutely. And this is kind of a typical recipe that you would see. Some of them are battered beer and all that. And then we've got 2 bonus recipes. This is my grandmother's coleslaw, which I've made before, I think, but I did a twist. I added blue cheese.
I
to
really
this
like it
one.
with the blue cheese.
I think it's
Delicious.
really
Yeah.
tart. And then just a simple tartar sauce. So we'll have those bonus recipes on Yummy.
And if you don't get a chance to make it during the 40 days of Lent to one of our over 40 fish fries, it's a great recipe for you, and we will see you next time on Bourbon
And biscuits.
Cheers!
Cheers.